This is a story called "The Funeral of Drunken Hearted Boy" about Ray. Some of my favorite stories to tell are about Ray. And Ray was he was never really my best friend, but to this day sometimes I consider him my most interesting friend. And this is a story about his funeral. I knew Ray since elementary school. He lived just a few blocks from where I lived. His dad was a violent alcoholic. Um, Ray had rheumatic fever when he was a kid. I don't know, like 9 or 10 years old, and he spent most of a year, I think, in bed. Just about died, but he got over that. And then the next year, he got really crazy and wild, and he wound up in a reform school. So he was held back. So he missed like 2 years there. So even though he was 2 years older than me, he was in my grade. Um, Eventually, things between him and his dad got so bad that he moved out of the house and he moved in with the family of a friend of mine, and for his high school years. Well, Ray didn't actually have what could be called high school years. He had like a high school month, as I understand it. He had a misunderstanding with the school principal in the 10th grade, and that was the end of that. Ray introduced me to many bad habits and a lot of girls. Um, Ray was not picky about girls. And bikers. Ray was inordinately fond of bikers. He felt that bikers were the only guys who really knew how to party. Ray's idea was that every day, every single day, and every single night should be a party. He probably drank, I don't know how much, a case of beer a night or something. I mean a lot. A couple packs of cigarettes, maybe 3 packs of cigarettes every day. Um, Cigarettes. One thing about Ray, Ray had he had like jailhouse tattoos from the reform school. Where I don't know how they just like cut into themselves and put like ink, so you get these weird misshapen tattoos. And he also had like scars, burn scars inside of his wrists. And that was because Ray was not afraid of a fight, but he believed you should try to talk your way out of a fight. He didn't really like fights if he didn't have to get in. And one way he would avoid them, if somebody wanted to fight him, he would challenge them to this cigarette burn contest. And what they would have to do is they would put their wrists together like this, and then they'd put the cigarette right between, and then the cigarette would just start burning down until eventually it was burning right into their wrists. And the one who pulled his wrist away was the loser. And Ray never lost in any of those contests. And as a result, he had these long, kind of creepy burn scars inside of his wrists. Um, that lifestyle, race lifestyle, did him in the long run. His heart gave out. It was a weak heart because of the rheumatic fever. He got sick, and then he got sicker. I think eventually he had to live in his mom's house. They put a hospital bed in the living room, and he had to give up beer and even cigarettes, and his legs swelled up, and finally he died. I don't know, 25 years old, 26 years old, maybe, something like that. Ray, I remember in the casket, there were a couple beer cans. Friends of his had put beer cans in the casket beside the corpse. And it was an interesting church service. It was in a church. There were maybe 2 dozen bikers and old ladies on one side of the church, all wearing biker clothes. And on the other side of the church were all these old people, relatives, I think related to Ray's mom. And they're the whole service, they're like sneaking glances at the bikers, like horrified glances. I'm not sure they'd ever actually seen bikers, certainly not in a church. There's a big guy there named Ernie, a huge guy, big Ernie. And Ernie, he was, I think, married to a woman that they used to call Mother Mary. She's very motherly and would take care of the other bikers. And then he had a girlfriend called, I think her name was Bones, very kind of skinny woman. And they were both there. and these two women hated each other, and they were like glaring at one another, and it was like an electrical thing, like, oh my God, are they going to have a fight or something right in the church service? Up in the front, I think the pastor was way out of his depth. I don't know if he ever even met Ray. I mean, maybe he met him just before Ray died. And he was, just babbling away and reading Bible verses, the kind of stuff that people say, talking about heaven. And, I was trying to imagine, maybe do they have Harley-Davidsons in heaven, beer? Because Ray's not going to be happy if he can't have a lot of beer. Anyway, after the service, a lot of us, we were out in front of the church waiting for the casket to come out. And man, just like that, all of a sudden there's screaming and yelling, and it turns out that Mother Mary and Bones were in a fight. They're like screaming and yelling and wrestling. They're on the grass, and some of the bikers think this is funny, and everybody else thinks this is like horrible, this horrifying thing. And a bunch of old ladies cluster around Ray's mom. They don't even want her to see this, and the casket's coming out of the church, and we're all thinking, oh my God, somebody's gonna, the whole casket's gonna fall, and well, that didn't really happen. And Ernie he kicks, I can't remember which one, he grabbed one woman, and he kicked the other one right in the face, and the pastor saw this. I remember the pastor said, did you see that? He kicked that woman right in the face. And yeah, pastor, yes he did. Well, the pallbearer, eventually things settled down. The pallbearers, they got the casket into the hearse, and the hearse got out on the road, followed by a lot of cars, and like 24 Harley-Davidsons. And it was a long drive. There was a family cemetery in the middle of Iowa, like kind of Centerville, Iowa. Is there a place called Centerville, something like that? And that's where they buried. So the funeral procession drove out there, a good long drive, a beautiful sunny day. What bikers call a good day for a run. Afterward, after all that was over, several of us had dreams about Ray. Um, and usually in these dreams, you'd be like at a party, and there'd be a lot of people, and all of a sudden you'd look up and you'd see Ray. And he'd be like chatting up a couple girls or something and drinking a beer, and you'd go, Ray, you're dead. And Ray would go, shh, don't tell anyone. Ray, don't tell anyone. Well, for a couple of years, Ray was in a blues band, and he liked to sing a song called Drunken Hearted Blues, I think. I don't know if that's a real song. He'd make up lyrics. Anyway, the chorus had a line, Drunken Hearted Boys don't live too long. And, long rhymes with stuff like dong and bong, King Kong, wrong. There's a biker slogan, live fast, die young, and leave a pretty corpse. That was Ray, the drunken-hearted boy.